If you are lucky enough to do a study abroad program while you're in college, it is such a blessing, but it can also be life changing. Our next couple here with us on the show have tried to make it their mission to provide such an experience for some local college students. With us now, Karl Plattenberger and Michele Plattenberger. They both are connected to Oakland University. Great to have you both here with us on the show.
Thank you for having us.
So, Michele, I guess if we could start with you, because you came across this passion. Tell us about your experience and how you got this started.
It actually started young, I guess, my influence with Japanese around me, but I had an opportunity to study abroad at Oakland University. I'm an alma mater of Oakland University, studied there, and I had the opportunity to study abroad, but it was going to be very costly. So unless I got that scholarship, I wasn't going to be able to go, and I happened to get it. Lucky me. And the study abroad program was amazing, life-altering, life-changing, absolutely amazing. And so it's something that I've always said, any student, whether in high school or in college, it's something that they should experience, whether it is short-term, 2 weeks, a semester, or a year. I think it's really important because it does change your perspective on the world.
It really does. And Michele, give us a little bit about your background and why this experience was so life-changing for you.
Well, background-wise, I studied at Oakland University. I don't actually know why. No one was pushing me to do this. Somebody had come into the classroom, into the International Studies course, and talked about study abroad, and I thought, this is something I want to do. I was studying engineering, but through Oakland University, you also have general ed requirements in language, and the international study is part of that as well. And because I live in Detroit studying engineering, I knew I was going to be in automotive. And I thought it would be very important to learn Japanese over any of the other languages offered that could help in my career. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to travel, study abroad for that 1 year. So I separated from the engineering and I went and obviously language, culture, mostly culture in that, theater, things like that, studied while I was there, but bringing that back then, and what it's done for me in what it did for me in school, finishing school up with my engineering degree, and the jobs that I have had over the years using my Japanese. It has been that study abroad experience that has led me to more and more.
I always say the best thing any student can do right now to get ahead in the workforce, learn a foreign language. But with that, Karl, you two meet, you end up getting married. How did you get swept up into Michele's passion for Japan?
Well, it's kind of funny because we kind of briefly met at an internship before she went away on her trip, and I think I was there for some of her classmates or something had organized a going away party for her to send her off, and literally we were casual acquaintances. And I do remember she was over there for a year. I honestly never thought I would see her. We would meet up again. And then partway through her stay there, the Kobe quake had occurred, and I remember being in college and one of my friends flipping through the news channels and says, "Oh, Kobe quake. Oh, I don't know anybody there." And he kept flipping back, and I was like, "Well, I think I know somebody there, so please go back." And went back, and luckily, nobody familiar came across as being impacted by it. But I do remember having a conversation when we met up on the street coming back, and just being more aware of, it makes it more personal. And there was, events even when we were over there. There was the tsunami when we ended up going back over to Japan, and when you're close to some of those things, you get more empathy, you have more understanding for what people are going through.
So, Karl, we can back up for a second. You just mentioned when we were over there. So, you two end up living over in Japan.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so briefly meet.
I'm thinking about this conversation with my husband. Hey, baby, we're moving to Japan. He'd be like, yeah, no.
Yeah, well, that was what we kind of joked about. Is we always said there was a condition of our marriage. She says if we ever have an opportunity to live and work in Japan for 3 to 5 years, will you do it, sort of thing. And I said, oh yeah, sure, not thinking that it was really going to be anything that was going to present itself with it. And sure enough, within a couple of years, that came up. And we didn't end up just 3 years. We ended up 6 years and having 2 kids while we were there.
Look how life takes you on a path you didn't plan. Michele, if we can jump back to you for just a second, can you talk about how that one experience of living abroad has set you on a different path in life?
Oh, honestly, it really has. And I actually teach Japanese at Oakland University as well. And one of the things I tell my students all the time is that, I have the engineering background and credentials. So that gets me the interview. My resume shows that. I submit, even internally, where I was working at the time, internally, if you wanted to change roles, you had to have your resume updated. And one of the things I tell them is it's my credentials that have them look at me, but it's always, always, always 100% of the time the fact that I did study abroad, or later on it was when I worked with the automotive company and spent 6 years in Japan. It's always that these positions, these study abroad programs or work abroad programs that have gotten me the next level position. Because it makes you, it's global. It's a global business now, right? And no matter what industry you're in, it's global, and it gives you a different perspective. Now, my personal passion is with Japan. I very much enjoy it. I call it my hobby now. But I tell any of my students and anyone willing to listen, it doesn't matter where you go, but definitely study abroad. Do that either in high school or in college.
So Karl Plattenberger and Michele Plattenberger with us here on the MegaCast, and I will say it is a blessing to be able to do one of these study abroad programs, but they are expensive. I was devastated. My niece had worked 2 jobs last summer to be able to do a study abroad program in Italy, and she was there for just a few weeks, and COVID hit, and she got sent home. So she didn't get to finish that experience, but it does change you and it impacts you, but it's expensive. So for those students that are just trying to even pay their college tuition, how is something like this possible? What do you say to them?
Well, I mean, the good thing is that there is a lot of recognition out there of the value in doing it. And Japan specifically is very supportive of bringing in individuals that are going to learn and take back valuable lessons from their culture and from the way they operate, and they welcome the opportunity to expose themselves to the international students as well. And we're trying to contribute to that as well. I mean, our contribution is somewhat modest now, but we're committed to it, and we really want to encourage it. It's the standards of living improve when you have free exchange of ideas and commerce, and that includes student education, and it includes cell phones and watches.
So you started this endowment over at Oakland University. Tell us more about that and some of the students that have been able to benefit from your generosity.
Yeah, so, as I encourage my students, if you can study, even if, short term or for a full academic year. I pushed that. I would pay for them to go if I could. I think he would appreciate that. But, I've always wanted to support. So, beyond letters of recommendation, what? So we had talked about doing, donations. And Oakland University does a lot of scholarship coordination. So we started actually in that area, just doing scholarship donation. And I knew it was something that I wanted to be perpetual. I wanted to make sure that although small in the bigger picture of what total costs it is, but I wanted to make sure, and if this is just the stepping stone, maybe we can make sure that there's 2, maybe there's 3. He doesn't know all that yet.
He's finding out now, right, Michelle?
He's finding out now, right? But
that's okay. I'm married too. Sometimes, they just find out along the way.
He can keep up. It's fine. But it's important to me to help the students where I can. It is a big financial commitment, and I want to be able to help. And I can't pay for their trip, but this is something that we can do. Make it perpetual to support these type of goals.
Yeah, and we there's other avenues too. So where we can provide a portion of it or get their foot in the door. There's you can combine scholarships, you can combine grants, you can look for grants.
Yes.
She's had fairly good success in recommending students for certain studies. She's got one student who actually got a pretty substantial grant from the government over there, and is well situated, and a lot of resources making those connections and finding it. The important thing on this is you really have to have somebody who wants to go and experience it, and to do that, sometimes they may have to do a little bit of extra work. But if you are interested in doing it, there is generally a way to achieve that.
And through Oakland University, they have the International Education Department, and there's many scholarships there for study abroad. So just listed on that page alone, I think I was there earlier this week, and I think there are 10 just on that page alone. And then they take you to external. Through Oakland University, they have their scholarship opportunities, but then there's external opportunities as well, and there are many.
It really is a life-changing program, not only for us to go over, but from the life standpoint of individuals from foreign countries that come to study in the United States. And you guys are fascinated with Japan. I had a cousin that while she was in college, we're from a very small town in Ohio. There was a Japanese exchange student. They ended up getting married. They're still here, but their kids are in their 20s now, but they did go live in Japan for a while to be able to study that a portion of their heritage as well. But on top of that, the life skills that you get out of that, right? To be able to speak a foreign language is so vital, but it goes beyond the language. It's knowing the culture and knowing the nuances. But we're also in the middle of a pandemic in which people can't really travel overseas. So how has that sidelined your efforts, or has it sidelined it at all?
Well, I mean, clearly there is a slowdown in the exchange, which is kind of good news for people going on, because I think that there's probably a lot of unclaimed scholarships and opportunities this year that will, likely roll over in the near future. But again, if there's a will or a way, our daughter is actually studying over in Spain. The process started in January last year. It was a grueling process right up until we put her on a plane in September to get through, particularly with all of the restrictions and things that are going on. But it can be done. It's going to be a different experience, and that was what we kind of coached her on when she was going over there. Is it might not be what everybody has advertised up to this point, but it's still a cultural experience. But everybody's going through this now, so you're going to get a different, the same COVID-19 experience, but you're going to get it, in a culturally different way.
Yeah, I will say I was so heartbroken when my niece got sent home. And we were all going over to Italy because she was going to be turning 21 while she was over. So we were going to surprise her and go over for her 21st birthday. So she got sent home early and our trips got canceled. But at least you got to experience it for just a little bit. But it's like you said, it's experiencing it on a global platform. How can people find out more about this? If they're listening and you're a kid and you're just dreaming, you're sitting there and studying abroad seems like a world away. It's just a faint dream. How can they tap into this resource to make it a reality?
Well, first thing is to do is to check your academic advisor sites at Oakland University, and if you're not there, any of the sites that you go to. Most of the programs, if you just looked up studyabroad.com programs, they'll have a link in there for financial aid and resources. You also speak with your professors and your instructors too, because generally they will have. A lot of times they're just waiting for somebody to ask them.
Most high school programs have study abroad or cultural exchange programs, so that I hear about lots of hosting opportunities. You can host a student, right? But you can also participate in that program for study abroad. So that is available. Talk to your academic advisor at the high school level. But most colleges in Michigan, the main program is through Japan Center for Michigan Universities. That's where I went to school. And so you work through your personal the college that you are attending, and then that is a program that you can participate through Michigan Consortium.
Just another minute or so here with you on the MegaCast, and Michele, if I could ask you this, because this adventure in your lives kind of really started with you. When you took that first trip, did you know it was going to have such an impact on the rest of your life?
No, not at all. And in fact, I think we arrived on a Thursday, and I thought, I'm getting on a plane. I'm out of here. I can't even what have I done? I was so scared. No one's ever done anything like that in my family before. I was so scared. But again, I went to Japan Center for Michigan Universities. The program is so well done. They got us incorporated into the dorms. I actually stayed in the dorm because it's a little bit more costly to do a homestay, but I highly recommend that. But staying in the dorm, they got us grouped with a women's club in the area in Hikone, and they took us grocery shopping. They taught us about the foods. Just going to the grocery store was an adventure, but teaching us how to use the appliances in the kitchen, which are a little bit different than what we're used to here in the United States. But again, the program was so well done that by Sunday I was like, nope, I'm never leaving. I love this place.
And she's been to Tokyo Disney 5 times and not been to once.
That tells you something. Michele, before we let you go, today is March 1st, and it does kick off Women's History Month. And with that, you also are in the world of engineering, which typically is not a female-dominated world. So now you're passionate about Japan, but you're also passionate about engineering. Any advice for women that you would give them right now on this March 1st day?
Absolutely. Networking. So I am involved in many professional groups, Society of Women Engineers. I was involved as a student at Oakland University and very much involved at the professional level. In fact, working with the Japan Women's Innovative Network as Society of Women Engineers goes global, and also CADIA Connects. I'm involved with that group as well, which is diversity and inclusion group, and working to support women and networking. That's the biggest thing.
Well, we so appreciate the time for both of you. Karl, did you want to leave us with any last words of advice from your perspective on this adventure?
Well, I was just going to say, I had many conversations with the guys in Japan, and we all recognize that it's really the women that run the world. We just stand in for them from time to time.
Oh, that makes a happy marriage right there. So thank you for recognizing that, but also thank you to the both of you for this great gift that you're giving to students as well, because just as it's changed your life and Michelle, but also your life, Karl, it's going to change other students' lives as well. And we're so lucky to have you in the community.
Thank you.